Good evening. This is NYU Tonight, and I'm Julia Musto.
Record temperatures slammed New York City last week, leaving residents stunned and commuters frustrated. Although people use City Bike every day, rumors of its foreclosure have been impending. Here at the 2nd Avenue and 7th Street fire, the cause of the fire is still undetermined. However, 6 people were treated on scene. 2 firefighters are injured and 1 is in critical condition.
A brazen terrorist attack in Jerusalem leaves 4 dead, and Israel's prime minister threatens to respond with a heavy hand. Also in Ferguson, a corrections officer has been charged with having sex with a pregnant inmate in exchange for allowing her to escape. The incident happened in October of 2013. The inmate says Officer Jairus Hayden took her to a boiler room and forced her to have sex. She has filed a civil rights lawsuit against both the officer and the city. Social media, which often harbors cyberbullying, is being used by an 11-year-old victim to campaign against bullying. Jesse Franco, the Texas boy who claims he's been verbally and physically harassed at school, has created a social campaign that has gone viral. CNN's Ryan Wolf reports.
Hi, I'm Eric Silver. I'm a teacher, poet. I don't sleep a lot. There is a lot that I wish I had known when I was in high school. I think I could have left out a lot of struggle and misinformation and just being a generally idiotic teenage boy for a long time. If someone had just told me about like compassion and books I should read and how to talk to someone without hurting their feelings. Teaching, that's like the easy part. Like interacting with the teenagers, answering questions. I mean, it drains a lot out of you, but that's the most fun part. This whole year is just about surviving. Teaching is a funny profession. I can't imagine going into anyone else's office or anyone else's place of work and as a regular person just telling them what they need, what I thought they should do. There are a bunch of activities or jobs that I've undertaken that led me here. I mean, I was a camp counselor for 4 or 5 summers. I ran workshops for college students and built this poetry thing from the ground up. And all of a sudden I was like, yep, this kind of makes sense. I mean, I wouldn't be doing anything else, but it's complicated. And I'm only starting to see it now.
New York City's comptroller, Scott Stringer, is currently auditing City Bike. Although City Bike has had over 100,000 users, the program has had problems since it started in May. But users contest that there are a lot of advantages to keeping the bikes.
Like there are a lot of places where they are, so if you're like on the bus, you jump off the bus, you take a bike, and I think it's easy to use it.
Users Emily and Carl were of a like-minded perspective.
It's a better form of transportation than actually going into a crowded, disgusting, germ-filled subway.
I mean, I'm sure there was a pretty heavy cost just to put them up, so.
I think it's good for the environment, and I think it's nice when the weather is good.
Although people use City Bike every day, rumors of its foreclosure have been impending.
Like if we didn't have it?
I think the people that use them don't have their own bikes, so they would probably not buy bikes. They would just use cabs or other forms of transportation. So I guess you'll just have more cabs, more Ubers, I would guess. If they have to increase the prices, that people would probably be okay with that.
And yet, New York City bike users continue to be hopeful. For NYU Tonight, this is Julia Musto, signing off.
Fall is barely here, but New Yorkers for Parks is already gearing up for spring. On Sunday, September 28th, the organization congregated in Union Square Park to pass out over 120,000 daffodil bulbs.
It's a community beautification effort that began in 2001. In the immediate aftermath of September 11th, our organization partnered with the Parks Department to distribute and plant 1 million daffodil bulbs throughout the 5 boroughs of New York City. We have New Yorkers from every part of the city who are willing to plant these bulbs in public spaces. So people are coming today to pick up bulbs that they requested earlier this summer and fall. And we are also distributing to folks who are walking by and are just learning about us. And so we really just encourage schools and community groups and all sorts of volunteer organizations to participate and get invested in their communities.
I'm picking up bulbs for my community garden, Siempre Verde garden on the Lower East Side. I'm very excited. We're going to plant the bulbs in the street tree beds and also in the garden.
New Yorkers for Parks stresses the importance of this project to make the city more plant-friendly and to promote the symbolism of the daffodil after tough times.
It's a great event. It's a good way to bring flowers back to New York. New York winters can be brutal.
And it adds a lot of color to the neighborhood, so everybody enjoys it.
Personally, I don't like daffodils. Personally, they're not my favorite flower. But you know what? This isn't about me. It's about the people who walk by and who enjoy seeing the flowers. And no matter when I'm outside, somebody comes by, at least 4 or 5 people come by and thank me for putting the stuff out there. So it's really about them. It doesn't matter what I think.
There's also some symbolism with the daffodil as a flower. It's yellow, which is a color for remembrance. The flower itself is nodding when it blooms, and so it's almost like it looks like it's in reverence to something. And the other thing that's wonderful about them is that daffodils will come back every single year and they'll multiply, and there will be more and more each spring. So we decided that that would be the best way to honor the folks who lost their lives on September 11th, was to turn it into something that was meaningful and that would last for literally generations. And just like every year, you know, more and more daffodils come up, and it's just, you see them in corners of the city that otherwise haven't had a flower in a long time. And it's in memory of something so tragic, but it's such a beautiful thing to come out of that.
For NYU News, I'm Chloe Hayes.
And I'm Julia Musto.
That's our news. I'm Julia Musto.
And I'm Tony Chow. Thanks for joining us. We'll be right back here next week on NYU Tonight. Take care.